When people ask the question, does science disprove the Bible? There's that sense that science is about facts and Bible is about faith. But if we take a deeper look, I believe that those are fallacies. They are really not the truth. Now, I want to read a quote to you from 1935. Bertrand Russell, in his book Religion and Science, himself an atheist, says, "At the subatomic level, classic nuclear physics has explained the mysteries of the atom. And quantum physics has taken it a step farther. At the cosmic level, Einstein's theory of relativity has expanded Newton's expansion of the workings of the universe. At the planetary level, Darwin has explained the existence and the development of life. Some have even declared that science has neared the end of its journey." In 1935, basically Bertrand Russell was saying, faith is no longer needed. We have explained everything. It is all understood now. However, every principle that they had based their understanding on was wrong. That was in 1935. We're talking about in the lifespan of people who are still walking on the planet. Everything that they based their understanding on was wrong. You see, they believed that matter was eternal, that over the span of eternity, anything is possible. If you had walked up to anyone during 1935, when Bertrand Russell was writing this, if you had gone up to Einstein, if you had gone up and talked to anyone that was doing true science at that point, and said to them, Genesis says at one point there was nothing, and then in an instant everything that is real, matter, everything that we know as truth appeared from nowhere, they would have looked at you and called you an absolute idiot and a fool. It wouldn't be until 1966 when the background radiation found from the Big Bang was discovered in Holmesdale by the antenna, the Bell antenna, that the theory of the Big Bang was actually brought in to be scientific dogma, that it is the way the earth existed. At a moment there was nothing, and then everything existed. Going on down, they were talking about the atom, because they understood that they had discovered the nucleus. And they said, now we have found the dense part of what is truly matter. But in those years since 1935, they've actually got microscopes to look into the atom, and they found out that there are more mysteries than they could have ever known. In fact, there are quarks and leptons, and they leap in and out of existence, and they have no idea where they go or how they come back. Quantum physics now is purporting things that are almost unbelievable. And when they get down to it, they go, we know less now than we have ever known in our life. When we look into the universe, he talked about Newton and Einstein's understanding of planetary rotation. But now that they've looked out, they realize that planets in our solar system revolve with the closer ones faster than the outer ones. But in other solar systems, it's the exact opposite. And how do they hold together and not collide into one another? It's interesting. In Michael Brooks, also a Darwinist, book 13 Things That Don't Make Sense, he talks about dark matter, which is the substance that scientists say holds the galaxies together. Now, what is dark matter? Well, he'll tell you right off. We haven't got a clue. In fact, we don't even know if it exists. We just talk about it because something has to be holding the galaxies together. And since we have no clue what it is, we're going to call it dark matter. And he goes, it doesn't make sense. The way the planets rotate doesn't make sense. He says it's as if a guiding hand holds them in place. His words. But ultimately, he goes, we don't have a clue. When we look at Darwinism again, in 13 Things That Don't Make Sense, he said, everything had to start with asexual reproduction. One cell divides into two. Those two divide again. They all continue. And yet the number one way that the life on this planet expands is not by asexual reproduction. It's by sexual intercourse. A male and a female. Darwin himself had to say, this makes absolutely no sense. It shouldn't work that way. How did we go from asexual reproduction to where the most plentiful way that sexual growth happens is now with a human being, a man and a woman, or a plant and a seed that gets germinated by a bee? All of this, as as Michael Brooks says in 13 Things That Don't Make Sense, are crazy. They don't make sense. And so here we have it. Science can't tell us how the Big Bang happened. Basically, they go, one day we may know. Right now, we're clueless. They can't tell us about the inner working of the atom. They can go, we don't know. We're clueless. They can't tell us how the universe holds together the way that it does. We've made up this terminology, dark matter, but we don't know what it is or even if it exists. And when it comes down to Darwin, we look and we go, we take it by what? Faith. Because we can't explain how in the world this jump happened. It shouldn't have happened, and yet it did. But what if there was a God who said, I'm going to create male and female of everything? What if there is a God holding the universe together, not dark matter? What if the cause of the Big Bang was, in the beginning, God said? At this point, we have to figure out what takes more faith. Believing that everything that we can explain happened in a way that we could never explain it. In fact, I love this quote. I didn't write the guy's name down. I'll have to put it in the liner notes under this video. But he said, the thing that we have to agree is that the world is not only more bizarre than we believed it was, it's more bizarre than we're capable of believing. Right now, it takes as much faith to believe in science as it does to believe in God. In fact, it takes more. Now, I have a lot more to share about this, especially the math that has to work to make the Big Bang function. It's in the full-length service, and the link is right below this video that you're watching right now. All I can say is this: the world is more marvelous than we can wrap our head around. And we have to figure out, is it happenstance or is there a God? Check out the longer video if that perks your interest. And as always, hope this helped to give you some perspective. If it raised more questions, you can send us a question at questions@godwhy.com.